This home is currently listed for sale with an asking price of just slightly under $8 million. It is a 5-bedroom, 6-bathroom, 5,069 square foot luxury waterfront estate with direct boat access from your dock to Destin Harbor. So far, it has been on the market for almost 3 months and hasn't seen any price reductions yet. It is an amazing and beautiful home that I would be willing to bet people would love to own and can only dream of purchasing something so expensive. At $7,950,000, it works out to about $1,568 per square foot, with only about a little over a third of an acre of land. And Zillow estimates that the monthly mortgage payment would be right around $45,534 a month. So let's just round that up and call it a nice even $46K a month. And in case you were wondering and asking the same questions that we all may be right now, no, there is apparently no down payment assistance programs available for this specific home. However, let's be honest, you'd have to be extremely rich to even be in the market for this home listed for sale to even be a remote consideration, or at the very least, very, very lucky. Yes, winning the lottery could potentially put you in contention as a potential buyer for this Florida mansion, but there are other ways to fall into a lot of money. Think investing and somewhat timing the market. But we will talk about that a little bit more later on. Hey Bug, what do you think? Can you make this house on Roblox?
Could you build that?
Yeah,
Yeah. How long would it take? How long would it take you to build this house on Roblox?
about 5 minutes.
All right, so Michael Burry is the big short investor, and he's the one who basically predicted the subprime loan crisis back during the 2008 housing market crash. And he made a ton of money shorting these subprime loans and ended up making a fortune back during the last housing crash. Now, since then, has made many different predictions and just recently said, basically, we are already in a recession or there will be a recession in 2023. It doesn't really matter how you define it or when you say it started because the effect is going to be the same in the end. And he has a very interesting prediction for 2023. Let's discuss that and what might happen if his prediction comes true. So he is saying that eventually, at some point in 2023, the Fed is going to pivot and start cutting interest rates. And he thinks it's likely that the federal government will come out with another stimulus package, because by then the economy will be in the toilet and they are going to print more money and go back to QE and try to dig everyone and everybody out of this mess. So the Fed pivot does sound pretty realistic, but I'm not so sure about the government stimulus packages and all that. And the reason is because basically the Fed has already come out and said that they plan to get their federal funds rate up near 5% and then hold it there for as long as necessary. Some people will look at that as a Fed pivot, but it is not really a pivot because they basically raise the interest rates, and once they hold them steady, that means interest rates are not going up or going down. It just means that they're staying where they're at for the most part. And to me, that's not a pivot. It's only a pivot once they start reducing interest rates. But the thing is that they've already come out and said that they're not going to be reducing rates until inflation is under control. But here's the scary thing. If Michael Burry ends up being correct and the Fed does start actually lowering rates in 2023 and the government comes out with a stimulus package, it's going to make inflation much higher than it is right now. Guys, check it out. Because a lot of people have basically said inflation has peaked and now it is going down over the last couple months, and CPI is coming down and everything's going to be fine. But if this scenario that Michael Burry describes comes to fruition, it's going to do the complete opposite, guys. Come on, think about it. Inflation is bad now, right? Just wait until that nightmare comes true. And I hope it doesn't come true, because ultimately it would be extremely awful. And I'm gonna tell you why it would be awful. First of all, it's going to make everything cost more than it already does now. So if you think things are hard to afford now, just wait. And if there's a government stimulus package, well, let's look back at the last time. You guys know, people got their stimulus checks, and even if they came out with another stimulus package like that and did another crazy $6 trillion, which would be completely insane, what did the average person get? Maybe like $3,000 or $4,000 total. It's not enough to really turn their life around. That's for sure. And that $3,000 to $4,000 is not going to go very far when inflation reaches record highs. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when it comes to the housing market, if Michael Burry's prediction comes true, then likely what's going to happen is everybody who's been saying that the home prices are going to go up will actually be right. Because in an environment where they are lowering interest rates and handing out free money, we already saw what that did to the housing market last time around.
This one is cool.
It shot things up to record highs. And if they do it again, it will shoot things up to new record highs. But before we go and celebrate and say, well, now would be an excellent time to buy real estate because it will just go up. First of all, this is just a prediction from Michael Burry. There's no evidence that this is going to happen, first of all. Second of all, even if it does happen, you might be able to make a lot of money quickly if you're a flipper.
That is nice.
But people who are in it for the long term are going to be in big trouble, guys. Look at what is happening to the home prices now that all the stimulus is over, right? And let's say they do this again like his prediction says, and home prices go up another 20% from where they are at now. And the problem with it is that once the stimulus is over, the next time is that home prices will begin to fall on levels that you have never seen before, guys. Because the prices got to levels that we've never seen before. And this stimulus cannot go on forever or indefinitely without completely destroying the country, without completely destroying the value of the US dollar. And that is why I think a scenario like this is highly unlikely to come true. But who knows?
Look, I would even
Michael Burry is a very smart guy. Anything is possible. And at the end of the day, maybe all the big wigs in the government are going to be looking out for their own best interest, and they want to keep all their buddies rich because we've seen them do that time and time again. But this time our entire country and the value of our currency is at stake here. So I don't know if they're going to be that foolish or not. But imagine if you're somebody who ends up buying during this next theoretical housing boom, and then once the stimulus is over and home prices go back to what they are really worth, pre-pandemic levels. Basically, it's over, guys. Anybody who bought during that time frame will be wiped out financially forever if they were looking to try and sell anytime soon or flip or something like that. So let's talk about housing affordability, renting, and I want to share with you an experience that Squirrel Tribe had the other day walking into Winn-Dixie to check for egg shortages and see how expensive the egg prices are. So basically yesterday, heading into Winn-Dixie after having already visited Publix, Walmart, and Whole Foods, checking, doing research, boots on the ground, real world insider intel about the actual egg shortage, egg prices, chicken, flu, etc. You walked into Winn-Dixie.
I did.
You noticed that we actually noticed driving by before even getting out. So there was a person. There was a woman
standing near the front doors, kind of hidden back in the shadows, like far back, so you didn't really fully notice her. But as I was walking in, I could see her walking up, and she had a baby stroller that was just overflowing with blankets and clothes and things, and the top part was closed and everything was covered with a blanket. She had on a lot of clothes and hat and a scarf and all kinds of stuff. And as I'm walking up, of course, I look over because I generally make eye contact with people I walk by, and I smile or say hi. It's just how I am. And so I'm walking by her, and as I look over at her, before I can say hi, don't look at me, don't look at me. And I was like, oh, okay, my bad. And so I just went into Winn-Dixie to do my thing.
Yeah, so it was actually kind of odd and interesting of the turn of events that had happened. But in my opinion, it was pretty clear that this woman, this person, she was without a home.
I like that.
She was homeless. It looks, I can't say with any extreme certainty that all of her belongings were with her in this stroller, which perhaps maybe
Oh, we're in
could
his
have
driveway. Sorry.
been used to provide a certain image, or it was just the most logical and reasonable mode of transportation she had for transporting whatever it may be in this stroller. Obviously, she didn't want anyone to look at her, or particularly my wife, for whatever reason it may be. I'm not 100% sure. So if anyone were to want to offer her any sort of assistance, it would be hard to do because she was pretty standoffish. And it speaks volumes as far as the current situation in the state of which a lot of people are in today, with the inability to afford and secure a reasonable and safe home, place to call home, a place to live. And it's only becoming worse and more difficult as home prices have skyrocketed since the pandemic. The housing market is anticipated to experience some form of crash or decline, but we have yet to see any real measurable differences across all markets. Everybody's market's going to be different. But even still, as prices come down, interest rates continue to climb up, thus further adding to the difficulty of housing affordability. Meanwhile, for folks who are using rent and affordable housing rental options to secure home, a place to call home, some of which mobile home communities, mobile trailer parks, modular homes, etc., they are seeing that they're feeling the squeeze as well, as investors are coming in, buying up these properties, and ultimately either raising the rent, making it next to impossible for them to afford to stay there, and or forcing eviction, or terminating leases without renewal. So it's just an added problem to housing affordability. But in this particular situation, this young woman, actually, we saw her again in the same day.
The odds and the distance from point A to point B also.
It was quite a distance. I'd have to map quest it and see, but I would guess that it's probably 2 miles.
I would say probably about 2 miles.
2 miles. So she hoofed it 2 miles. But as we saw her again, we were doing trivia night. We went to do trivia night with our friends at Chipper Barbecue.
Chipper's Barbecue.
And Lucinda.
Yes,
if you watch
Lucinda.
Squirrel Tribe's video, you'll know who Lucinda is. She runs the trivia night for
Chipper's Barbecue.
It's for Panhandle Trivia.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
Panhandle Trivia.
There's something else.
Something else to it. I don't remember the full thing.
And so we're there, we're doing trivia, and I would say probably halfway through the trivia, we see the same woman walk in with the stroller.
Here's the thing, though. I want to point this out. They had one of their doors open because it's more inviting that way. And so she had the ease to bring her stroller cart thing into the restaurant because of this opened door. I personally wonder if the door had been closed, if she still would have tried to enter.
I'm not 100% sure, but we know the owners, and the woman sat down, and I offered to buy her food. And we were told she has been in before. So I don't know if the door being open was the invitation, because she has been in before.
But they leave the door open a lot because it's nice out, number one, and because it is more inviting that way. So it's still the same possibility that she was able to easily go in with all of her things. Or maybe the first time she left her stroller cart outside and only she went in. I'm not 100% sure.
So the story and the experience, there's a development of a little bit more backstory besides the fact that she's been there before. Now, apparently she's been there before, but she's never asked for anything. She's never asked anyone for anything.
Nope, she didn't ask.
And last night, what she asked for was food, and she had $8. She had $8 to spend.
So the owner of Chipper's Barbecue, Mary. She offered a kids menu because with a kids menu she could get a full meal with the money that she had and a slight discount.
So, long story short, she receives food, and we're wrapping up trivia, and on our way out we realize that she's talking to herself, or seemingly, theoretically, someone else.
Across from her in the booth, she was having a very heated conversation with somebody in the booth.
There was no one else there.
There was no one else
There's
there.
no one else there besides a baby, a doll, a little doll in the stroller. So perhaps maybe the initial experience and interaction between the two of you at Winn-Dixie earlier that day was perhaps
Not aimed at me.
not at you. And this could be chemically induced through some form of drug use. But at Chipper's at dinner, it was pretty clear and apparent that something just wasn't right. Something just wasn't right. And it's unfortunate and sad to say that that is the case, but this is the situation that we're dealing with. And it would be nice if people like her could get the help that they need, as well as a home to go to.
Now, I would like to quickly just point out that not a single person inside the restaurant, and the restaurant was packed with people for, dinner, for trivia, whatever else. Not a single person made a rude comment, made a rude face, complained about anything. The woman, when she came in, she stayed at the very last booth closest to the door. She didn't walk through the restaurant. She did not go up to a single person in the restaurant. She came in, she moved her stroller over to the side so it was not even visible to where she went and sat. And then she went and sat at the very first booth, and she was quiet. And again, what I thought was great was that you see a lot of times where people have really rude things to say, rude faces that they make, all kinds of stuff aimed at people that they feel are less fortunate or less than them. But nobody in the restaurant last night made an issue out of anything. The game kept going, people kept eating, fun still to be had. So I thought that was actually very, very nice that humanity acted like humanity should.
Absolutely. Housing affordability is going to continue to be a problem, and odds are it's just going to get worse as time goes on. And it's going to force families to more than likely need to pool their resources, perhaps maybe incorporate multiple families and generations under one household, under one roof. Continuously work on increasing your income, spending less than you make, budgeting wisely, eliminating high interest debt, and saving and looking towards investing.
Now, I want to point something out. I saw something on the computer this morning that said, somebody made the comment of, how can you be homeless and have a cell phone? And somebody else replied back, how can you be so out of touch with the cost of housing that you think that's equivalent? Being able to afford a cell phone is nowhere near the same as being able to afford someplace to live.
Absolutely. And there's actually instances where that'll be like almost abundantly clear in certain situations, because you'll see folks that have homes, they have apartments, they have places to stay, whatever it may be, but they actually don't have any furniture, or they're lacking pretty much anything else inside besides having the ability to secure a place to stay.
Or have the ability to rent one room but can't afford the entire place for themselves, That's also a thing. Have just enough to rent a room in somebody's place, somebody's house, but not enough to have a bed in that one room. But just enough for maybe food to get by, a floor to sleep on, maybe a phone or a bike so they can get to work or do some sort of online business work or something.
Yeah, so we'll see how this plays out. Odds are it'll be a continuation of what we've seen in the past. My predictions for 2023, like I told you guys last year, is more of the same. And, take it for what it's worth, but ultimately we're going to experience, in my opinion, more of the same.
Yeah, agreed.
Thanks, Squirrel Tribe.
Hey,
Thanks,
you're welcome.
kiddo.
Yeah.
See you guys on the next one.
You're welcome.
15, 20K?
Come here.
15, 20K in Roblox.
Well, technically blocks.
Is it called Roblox?
It's blocks.
Bloxburg?
Because Roblox and Bloxburg.
All right, so 15 to 20K in the game.
So my kid likes playing Roblox
$5
and building
maybe.
these homes.
$25?
It's a
$5.
cool way to experience architecture and interior design at that. It's pretty cool. But then you're using virtual money that you're delivering pizzas for to build these places up. And I highly doubt that anybody's making enough money to afford this place delivering pizzas.
Definitely not, unless they're delivering something else with the pizzas, which would cost me how much actual money to buy you the game money?
Well, either you could buy it or you can work for it.
We gonna be alright. Yeah. Look at me soaring now. Giving my soul, I pour it out. Been honest before, what you seeing now? Back when I couldn't afford a house. I used to sleep in the Prius, no heater on site at my campus. Dropped out for a job, I just couldn't manage. Was racking up debt, made it hard to see family. I ran out of panic, I started to grind at the studio. Don't tell my girl I was homeless. Was wasting the time that we could've spent. Too focused, not folding, I'm used to this. I'm not complaining, but shit to get hard and I know what my worth is. I waited my turn, look at me flourish. I want them to know what they're seeing right now is me beating my curses. I only got one life to live, trying to keep my headspace clear. Been off the meds for the feels, trying to run it